going to go ahead and call to order this May 4, 2021 meeting of the Board of Trustees of the Greater Dayton Regional Transit Authority. Due to circumstances related to the COVID-19 pandemic, this meeting is being conducted in accordance with amended Substitute House Bill 197 and House Bill 404 and the guidelines set forth by the Ohio Department of Health. Due to matters related to COVID-19, the meeting is being conducted remotely by teleconference. I ask all participants to please leave your microphones on mute unless and until you are called upon to speak, at which time please remember to unmute. Will all persons now rise and recite with me the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everybody. I now ask the secretary to please call the roll of board members.
Yes, sir. Mr. Williamson?
Present.
Mr. Lumpkin?
Here.
Mr. Corrado?
Present.
Mr. Fullenkamp?
Present.
Ms. Hairston?
Present.
Ms. Hurd?
Present.
Ms. Howard?
Present.
Ms. Matthews Stinson?
Here.
And Mr. Weckesser?
Here.
We have 9 of 9 in attendance.
Thank you. The roll having been called, the chair declares that a quorum is present. The bylaws of the Greater Dayton Regional Transit Authority require approval of the agenda of each board meeting by the Board of Trustees. Prior to today's meeting, a copy of today's meeting agenda was presented for review to all board members. Are there any requested changes or corrections to the agenda? Hearing none, the chair will declare the agenda approved as presented. Also, prior to today's meeting, the minutes of the April 6, 2021 board meeting were presented for review to all board members. Does any board member request a reading of the minutes or suggest any corrections or additions to the minutes as presented? Hearing none, the chair will declare the minutes of the April 6, 2021 board meeting approved as presented. We'll now move on to committee reports, and because of a time conflict, we will proceed with the Planning Committee report first. Ms. Howard.
Good afternoon, everyone. The Finance, Personnel, and Planning Committees met for a jointly held meeting April 20th, and while we do not have any action items to bring before you, we do have important updates to provide. At the committee meeting, Mr. Brandon Palachicchio provided a summary document of recent activities in the Customer and Business Development Department. Mr. Palachicchio shared that there's been continued growth in tap pay usage following the launch of tap pay cards in early April. Members of the Customer and Business Development Department assisted customers with signing up for the new cards and issued up to $30 in credits to those accounts. In addition, existing TapPay customers on the Transit app were issued $30 in credits for the first 2 weeks of the new program. More than 1,000 customers signed up for the cards during the promotional period. In addition, the Communications Department is promoting COVID-19 vaccination through an advertising campaign. A new campaign kicked off May 1st, sharing that customers who are fully vaccinated will receive a $30 credit on their TapPay account if they bring proof of vaccination to any transit ambassador at any RTA transit center. The agency is also promoting a new mobile vaccination bus done in partnership with Public Health Dayton and Montgomery County. RTA rebranded its outreach bus for these efforts, and Public Health will be setting up in the bus in various neighborhoods to provide walk-in vaccination appointments. Several media interviews were conducted about this new venture, and its promotion is ongoing via the agency's social media platforms. This concludes my report, Mr. President, and I will be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you, Ms. Howard. Any board members have any questions of Ms. Howard or the Planning Committee? Hearing none, we will move on to Finance Personnel Committee. Ms. Matthews Stenson.
Good afternoon. The Finance and Personnel and Planning Committees held a teleconference meeting on April 20th, and as a result, the Finance Personnel Committee is recommending 3 action items for the board's consideration. Today's action items are essential to the delivery of transportation services to the public. Action item number 2, resolution number 2021-5-1, light transit vehicles for the 5310 federal grant program. The Greater Dayton RTA is a regional partner in the 5310 federal grant program, which is designed to improve transportation options to the senior and disabled community. The program is administered by the Miami Valley Regional Planning Commission, and the federal grant is managed by RTA. RTA has been a partner in this program since 2015. As part of our partnership role, RTA will be purchasing small buses and vans for use by area agencies which have applied for and been approved for funding by the Miami Valley Regional Planning Commission. RTA receives and manages the federal grant to fund the approved federal share of the program cost, and the project partners will fund any required local share. RTA is able to purchase small vehicles from existing ODOT vehicle contracts and will be doing so for these vehicle procurements. Mr. Rosinski provided a thorough explanation at our meeting, and the supporting documents are included in today's board package. Bob is available to answer any questions at this time. Hearing no questions, based upon the recommendation of the Finance and Personnel Committee, I move that the Board of Trustees approve resolution number 2021-5-1, light transit vehicles for the 5310 federal grant program. Contracts will be awarded to ODOT approved vendors for the purchase of up to 2 small transit vehicles at a cost not to exceed $180,000, and for the purchase of up to 7 accessible modified minivans at a cost not to exceed $420,000, for a total award of up to $600,000. The Chief Executive Officer has the authority to complete any required items necessary to make the purchase using ODOT vehicle bid term contracts. This procurement is being funded with up to 100% federal funds, and all 5310 vehicles will have any local share funded by the receiving agencies.
This is Adrian. I second the motion.
Very good. I have a motion by Ms. Matthews Stenson and a second by Ms. Hurd. Is there any additional discussion or questions or comments? Hearing none, I'll ask the secretary to call the roll.
Yes, sir. Mr. Williamson,
Yes.
Mr. Lumpkin,
Yes.
Mr. Corrado,
Yes.
Mr. Follenkamp,
Yes.
Ms. Hairston,
Yes.
Ms. Hurd,
Yes.
Ms. Howard, and Ms. Howard. Ms.
Yes. I'm sorry, I was on mute.
Thank you. Ms. Matthews Stenson
Yes.
and Mr. Weckesser.
Yes.
We have 9 in agreement.
Very well, the motion having been properly made, seconded, and unanimously approved by the full board, resolution number 2021-5-1 is approved.
Thank you very much. Action item number 3, environmental consulting services contract increase. The purpose of this procurement is to extend the contract term and to add funds to the current contract with RTA's current environmental consulting firm, Tri-Hydro Corporation. The additional funds required are related to the diesel tank release at the 601 Longworth location. This release occurred on August 24th, 2020, after a diesel fuel delivery into the tank. As a result of this event, several emergency purchase orders were issued to have contractors on site to address the emergency needs, including pumping of the wells for free product, drilling of additional wells, rental equipment for automated pumping of wells, surveying, well monitoring, and analysis of the product recovered from the wells. In addition to those emergency purchase orders, an emergency purchase order was issued to RTA's current environmental consultant, Tri-Hydro Corporation, for $90,000 to immediately begin the regulatory reporting, project oversight, and remedial plan for this release. Mr. Brown provided a thorough explanation at our meeting with a breakdown of costs, and the supporting documents are included in today's board package. Darren is available to answer any questions the board may have at this time. Hearing no questions, based upon the recommendation of the Finance Personnel Committee, I move that the Board of Trustees approve an increase to the current contract with Tri-Hydro Corporation by $281,400 in order to properly address the regulatory reporting, project oversight, and remedial plan for the April 2020 fuel release. This will bring the new contract total to $501,400 and includes a contract term extension of 10 months, bringing the contract end date to December 31st, 2022.
This is Sharon Howard. I'll second.
And I believe Ms. Howard was first with the second. So motion having been properly made by Ms. Matthews Stenson and seconded by Ms. Howard. Is there any further discussion or questions or comments? Hearing none, I'll ask the secretary to call the roll.
Yes, sir. Mr. Williamson,
Yes.
Mr. Lumpkin,
Yes.
Mr. Corrado, Mr. Corrado,
Yes.
Mr. Fullenkamp,
Yes.
Ms. Hairston,
Yes.
Ms. Hurd,
Yes.
Ms. Howard,
Yes.
Ms. Matthews Stenson,
Yes.
and Mr. Weckesser.
Yes.
Thank you. We have 9 in agreement.
Thank you. The motion having been properly made, seconded, and the board unanimously has voted to approve. Action item number 3, the environmental consulting services has been approved.
Thank you very much. Action item number 4, substation upgrade. The purpose of this procurement is to contract with a qualified vendor for the manufacturing, delivery, installation, testing, and commissioning of one new 1.5 MW traction powered substation and the option to manufacture and store up to 10 750,000 watt substations for the Greater Dayton RTA. The electric trolley system for RTA runs off of the DC grade that requires the reactification of AC power from the utility provider before being transmitted along RTA's infrastructure grid. This project is consistent with RTA's core values of quality, service, and stewardship as we maintain our resources efficiently and responsibly. The vendor to be awarded the contract for the substation upgrade will manufacture, deliver, install, test, and commission one outdoor prepackaged single-unit rectifier substation, 1.5 million watts, and for the option years to supply up to 10 additional 750,000 watt pre-packaged substations. For the base bid, the vendor is responsible for the installer for the initial substation, but RTA will procure a contract to install the remaining 10 substations. The plan is to award the initial substation the first year and 2 per year for the next 5 years. Mr. Rosinski provided a thorough explanation at our meeting, and all supporting documents are included in today's board package. Bob is available to answer any questions the board may have at this time. Hearing none, based upon the recommendation of the Finance Personnel Committee, I move that the Board of Trustees approve a contract to Myers Control Power LLC for the base award totaling $1,819,208 plus the 5 option years in the amount of $9,804,868 for a total contract award of $11,624,076 plus a 20% contingency storage fee if needed. Engineering inspections during the warranty period and other items that may arise in the amount of $2,324,815 for a grand total of $13,948,891. This procurement will be partially funded through federal grant funds.
This is Sharon Hairston. I'll second.
A motion made by Ms. Matthews Stenson and seconded by Ms. Hairston. Is there any further discussion, questions, or comments? Hearing none, I will ask the secretary to call the roll.
Yes, sir. Mr. Williamson,
Yes.
Mr. Lumpkin,
Yes.
Mr. Corrado,
Yes.
Mr. Fulenkamp,
Yes.
Ms. Hairston,
Yes.
Ms. Hurd,
Yes.
Ms. Howard,
Yes.
Ms. Matthews Stenson,
Yes.
and Mr. Weckesser.
Yes.
We have 9 in agreement.
All right, the motion having been properly made and seconded and unanimously passed by the board, action item number 4 is approved.
I do have a couple of other additional items to mention. At our meeting, Mrs. Stanforth reported a small loss of $104,000 for the first quarter of 2021, including capital and gas fee charges. Total revenues were off $1.4 million compared to budget due to lower passenger fares, lower federal preventative maintenance, and no state assistance. Total expenses were down $1.8 million compared to budget due to lower contract services, diesel fuel, and materials and supplies expense. Sales tax revenue for the first quarter of 2021 is equal to budget, as we are always 3 months in arrears. This concludes my report.
Thank you, Ms. Matthews Stenson. Now we'll move on to the Chief Executive Officer's report, Mr. Rosinski.
Yep, I just have 3 updates. First on COVID. Out of our 600 employees, as of last Friday, we have 242 that have completed the vaccine process, and we have several that are in process. So our numbers are pretty much trending the federal numbers at this point. We are running into some resistance from staff due to fear, the unknown, whatever. We are working on those on a case-by-case basis, but I suspect we're going to mirror the federal numbers throughout this process. We do currently have the 8-hour incentive of personal time out there. We put an end date to that to try to get people who are on the fence to move a little quicker. So we hope that works out. They must start by Memorial Day and complete by June 30th to participate in the incentive. On the free trips to vaccinations, we're just under 2,000 free trips with the public. A lot of those first-time riders, so that's been pretty successful. And ODOT's covering that cost. We have issued over 200 $30 tap pay credits to customers that proved they were fully vaccinated, so that was impressive. And last week was the first couple days of our vaccine bus, and we had 100 folks get vaccinated those first 2 days. I was personally hoping for more, but the public health people were thrilled with that number, so I guess I was overshooting. And they are actually adding days to that program. So that should be a good media push for us, as well as help the community get vaccinated. On to staffing. I've been meeting with several community leaders and business folks I've been hearing from, begging for more service because they can't get employees. And sadly, we're facing the same exact problem. We can't get employees either. We are kind of starting to have an employment crisis here. So we are going to be developing some media campaigns and paid advertising to replace our COVID ads in the next 30 days here, focusing on employment issues. We're going to be looking at some employment incentives that we'll bring to the planning committee next month or this month. And staff is looking at any type of service adjustments we can make for the summer months to alleviate the load. What we really don't want to do is have buses not show up that people are counting on. So I'd rather adjust the schedule somewhat for a temporary period of time, so at least they're not waiting on a bus that's never going to come. We do have all supervisors driving at all times, but we still are having trouble making our service because we're just not getting applicants. And then finally, the earmark process locally has been completed, and Congressman Turner did recommend our project for one of his 10 earmarks that he put forward to the congressional delegation, or what it's called. Now, we don't know how the whole earmark process is going to work in DC, and frankly, I don't think they do, because this is a quickly thrown together new process. So we'll just have to wait and see how that goes. We applied for funding to help with our infrastructure rebuild, which would support the substation upgrade we just approved. So that's all I have to report today.
Great, thank you. Any questions for Bob?
Yes. How does our pay compare to over-the-road truckers?
Over-the-road truckers generally make more money because they can work, because they're on the road and away from home a lot, and they get paid by the mile and different incentives. But it's a hard job. So we oftentimes will get some people who do that for a while and say, I can't do this anymore. I'd rather be local. I think what we're going to learn here is that our pay scale is going to have to be adjusted at some point. We were a top payer for many, many years. But with the push for the $15 federal minimum wage, our fixed route drivers start at $16.22, I believe, is the starting pay, and they can go up to 24 something after 7 years. But $15 an hour isn't even cutting it locally. Places like Amazon are having to throw out 17, 18. It's very discouraging that the applicant pools just aren't there. We just don't have people searching for work right now. Part of the hope is that this fall, when the unemployment incentives disappear, that this problem may start to loosen up a little bit. So that's why we're looking at just some summer adjustments. So we did delay our pick that we usually have about this time so that we can relook at the schedule so that we can see what we need to do.
How do we compare to school bus drivers?
The school bus drivers are starting to nip at our heels, but they are oftentimes not full-time jobs. But then oftentimes some of these people just want to work a few hours in the morning and a few hours in the afternoon. So we're certainly not alone. I know Dayton Public is really having a hard time getting applicants and drivers. And most of the local school districts are constantly looking for drivers. So there's not a magic easy bullet to this one. We're just going to have to attack it from many angles and keep at it. But again, I don't want people to count on service that we can't deliver. So we may have to make some adjustments, as much as I hate to do that at least on a temporary basis, so that we're not promising something that's not there.
Anything else for Bob? Hearing none, we'll move on to old business. I have none. Does anyone else have any old business to bring before the board this afternoon? All right, any new business to bring before the board this afternoon? Hearing none, I'll ask, has any member of the public signed up for public comment today?
No, sir.
Very well. We'll go to board member comments and see if I could do my gallery view here and in no particular order. Mr. Weckeser, any comments?
No comments. Thank you.
Ms. Hurd?
Well, I did want to share with you all that I just happened to be looking at my favorite pencil. I don't know when I got it. I don't know where I got it, but I like it.
It's also that Michigan State green and white, so I know that's the other reason you like it. So, all right, Ms. Matthews Stenson.
No comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Corrado.
No comment.
Ms. Hairston.
No comments. Just hope everyone is doing well.
Mr. Lumpkin.
No comments.
And Ms. Howard, I believe, has left. If she hasn't, does she have a comment?
He has left, Dave.
She's gone. Okay. Did I miss anybody? I don't think so. I think it's just down to me. And my only comment is I did hear one very positive comment about the mobile COVID bus and very, very high remarks that it was so simple and easy and welcome. So kudos on that.
And I do want to add on the COVID bus, we are using our maintenance department to deliver and transport that bus between sites so it doesn't pull a driver off from getting people to work. So.
Great. Super. Okay, that concludes board member comments and all the other business of the day. There being no further business to come before the board, is there any objection to the adjournment of this meeting? Hearing none, the chair will declare this meeting adjourned. Oh, other than, I forgot one item, that is to remind you of our next meeting dates. Next joint committee meeting is scheduled for May 18th and next board meeting for June 1st. You probably saw at the bottom of your agenda that as is typical of this time of the year as we get into June, July, we will rely on Bob and staff to advise us of the need for a June committee meetings and a July board meeting. And so we'll just await further news on that. But in the meantime, May 18 for committee meetings, June 1 for board meeting. Other than that, hearing nothing further, the chair will declare the meeting adjourned and wish everybody a happy and safe rest of your afternoon. Thank you, everybody.